Welcome, Albemarle County Public School employee, to the fiscal year 2022-23 Albemarle County Schools online annual training, also referred to as OATS training. This is a mandatory training that is required every year. You will be required to sign electronically at the end that you have completed the training. ADA, or Americans with Disabilities Act. It is a federal law that prohibits discrimination in employment against individuals who have physical or mental disabilities. Under the ADA, an employer is required to make reasonable accommodations to the disabilities related limitations of the employee or job applicant unless it would cause the employer undue hardship. School Board Policy GCDA, the effective criminal conviction or arrest. In the event that an employee, whether full-time or part-time, probationary or non-probationary, is arrested for a criminal violation of any kind, whether misdemeanor or felony, he or she is required to report such arrest promptly to the employee's supervisor or department head within 1 business day unless mitigating circumstances exist. Arrest must be reported regardless of whether it occurred on duty or off duty. Arrest occurs if an employee is released on a criminal summons and is not taken into an officer's custody. Failure to comply with this reporting requirement will lead to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Felony and misdemeanor convictions have the same reporting requirement. School Board Policy GCJ, the Fair Labor Standards Act. All county employees are either exempt or non-exempt. Exempt employees, which includes teachers and most administrators, are considered salary employees and do not earn additional compensation, i.e. overtime, if they work over 40 hours. Non-exempt employees need permission to work additional hours and overtime, and it must be requested and approved in advance. In the situation of dual job employees, communication is required between all departments to ensure that all hours an employee works are accounted for. Hours above 40 are paid at a blended rate. If you have any questions about being compensated for all hours worked, please contact Human Resources. With supervisor's approval and employee agreement, employees may receive compensatory time leave for additional time worked over 40 hours in a work week, instead of receiving overtime pay. What counts as time worked for non-exempt employees? Albemarle County's official work week is Saturday from 12:01 a.m. through Friday 12 midnight. Meals and rest periods. Lunch breaks, 30 minutes or more, are not work hours and are not paid. If the employee is required to perform any duties, whether active or inactive, while eating, that time most likely has to be paid. Short breaks, normally 5 to 20 minutes, are counted as hours worked and must be paid. Managing employee time and leave. Non-exempt employees are required to log all time worked in Kronos. Please submit leave request as needed in Kronos. Review request, edits as needed, and approve an accurate time card each week. Exempt employees, including teachers, submit leave request as needed in Kronos. Review request, edits as needed, and approve accurate time cards each week. Supervisors need to be aware of their role and responsibility. FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act. Almost all documents and possessions of county school employees are available for public scrutiny, including, but not limited to, emails, handwritten notes, receipts, draft documents. Consider any request from a member of the public potentially a FOIA request. It does not need to be in writing, nor does it need to refer to FOIA. If you get a request before responding, please contact your school administrator and they will contact Mr. Phil Giarmita, the FOIA coordinator for Albemarle County Public Schools. School Board Policy GBA, Harassment. Discrimination and sexual harassment are prohibited by the county school division because they erode morale, impair employees' workability, and violate state and federal law. Harassment can take many forms, such as a request for sexual favors, a romantic relationship between supervisors and subordinates, retaliation for refusing a sexual favor, physical touching, and the creation of a hostile working environment. Harassment can be from peers, manager, subordinates, or others with whom the employee comes in contact with. Supervisors should take all complaints, however small, seriously and go directly to human resources. Do not do your own investigation. Employees, you have the right to work in a place free of discrimination and sexual harassment. If you are uncomfortable with any person's behavior, you should ask him or her to stop immediately. If you believe you have witnessed or experienced discrimination or sexual harassment, please report to your supervisor or human resources as soon as possible. Employees reporting such behavior are protected from retaliation. Title IX prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in educational programs or activities receiving federal funds. For questions or concerns regarding Title IX, please contact the Title IX coordinator, Dr. Jesse Turner. School Board Policy GB, Non-Discrimination. Albemarle County is an equal opportunity employer. It is the policy of the school board not to discriminate against any employee because of sex, gender, race, color, national origin, disability, religion, ancestry, age, marital status, genetic information, or sexual orientation, or any other characteristic protected by law. School Board Policy GBC, Standards of Conduct. All county school employees are expected to meet minimum standards of conduct. These include, but are not limited to, the following: timely and regular attendance, dependable application of time, satisfactory work performance, appropriate attire, courteous and professional behavior toward the public and fellow employees. Child Protective Services. Here is a short video and refresher on Child Protective Services and mandated reporting. Hello, Albemarle County Public School employee. This is a mandated reporter refresher course for the 2022-23 school year. Child Protective Services assesses and investigates reports of abuse and neglect. They constantly walk the tightrope of less than optimal parenting while weighing child safety with a parent's Fourth Amendment's rights to parent as they see fit, trying their best to engage families by addressing personal and sensitive subject matter. Who is a mandated reporter in Albemarle County Public Schools? Everyone is a mandated reporter. As an educator or someone working in a school, you're required by the Code of Virginia to report all instances of suspected child maltreatment. Mandated reporters protect children and save lives every single day. Mandated reporters are required by law to report all suspicions of abuse and neglect to Child Protective Services within 24 hours. What should you do if you see indicators of abuse or neglect as a mandated reporter? You're legally obligated to report any suspected abuse or neglect within 24 hours. You do not have to have proof. You should not investigate the abuse or neglect. You only need to have the minimal facts: who, what, and where. Never ask a child, "Why do you think abuse or neglect occurred?" There are several ways that you can report child abuse. You may speak to your counselor or administrator at your school. You may call Albemarle County Child Protective Services. You may call the Virginia Child Protective Services hotline, or you may go online to the Mandated Reporter portal. There are 6 types of abuse and neglect that Child Protective Services looks for: physical, sexual, mental, substance-exposed infant, and human trafficking. Domestic violence has a negative impact on children and families. Concerns of physical fighting in homes should be reported to Child Protective Services. Documentation is crucial in cases of child abuse and neglect. Document, document, document. As soon as possible, please take detailed written notes. Make sure that you include your concerns or situations that the child has disclosed, any statements that the child may have given you, and the child's demeanor, along with the date and time you made the report. After you file a report, Child Protective Services will determine if the situation described meets the legal definition of child abuse or neglect. If it meets the criteria, a Child Protective Services team will make a family assessment and an investigation will occur. Please know that your identity will not be released to the family by the Child Protective Services worker. Child Protective Services will respond to your report by interviewing pertinent individuals, observing the family, reviewing records, assessing future risk, and partnering with community resources. There are 3 possible outcomes with Child Protective Services in involvement: assessment of closing the investigation with no future services from DSS, open, going to Child Protective Services, possible court intervention, and if the child is unsafe, court intervention and out-of-home placement. What do you do if you are injured at work? In the event of an emergency, please call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room. Severe and catastrophic injuries or bloodborne pathogen exposures, example, a bite, a needle stick, etc., please call Human Resources within 2 hours. Always notify your supervisor immediately. Complete a first report of injury at the United Heartland website. Sign the Panel of Physicians form. If you need medical treatment, you will only be eligible for reimbursement if you are seen by a doctor on the approved panel of physicians and your claim is ultimately approved by VACOR, the Workmen's Compensation Administrator. Remember that just because you are injured at work does not mean it will be covered by Workmen's Compensation insurance. Contact Human Resources throughout the process for questions, concerns, or assistance. Bloodborne pathogens. There are 3 types of pathogens to be aware of: HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. These pathogens can be present in numerous types of body fluids and can live on surfaces for many days depending upon the organism. In the event that you come in contact with blood or any type of body fluid, do not attempt to clean it up. Instead, you should contact building services for their assistance. The hepatitis B vaccination. Employees who work in jobs with a greater risk for an exposure to hepatitis B are eligible to receive the vaccination series. Some examples are staff working in special education and building services employees. Hazard communication. There are globally recognized pictogram labels that are used on chemicals in the globally harmonized system as seen in the next slide. An inventory of all chemicals used in your work environment has been created and the list is stored electronically. Safety data sheet is available on each of these chemicals and tells you the identity of the hazard and the manufacturer of the chemical. Here is a short video from our Department on Technology on phishing and other technology updates.
So you took the bait, and you've been fished. Or maybe you're just here to learn more. Either way, the first thing we should do is ask the question, what is phishing? Phishing is a cybercrime in which a target or targets are contacted by email, telephone, or text message by someone posing as a legitimate institution to lure individuals into providing sensitive data such as personally identifiable information, banking and credit card details, and passwords. The information is then used to access important accounts and can result in identity theft and financial loss. Simply put, criminals trick us into giving personal information to them by pretending to be someone they're not. Let's take a quick look at our website that explains how to spot phishing attempts. Go to youtookthebait.com, click here, and read through the material. We briefly define phishing, provide tips like number 1, use your cautious lens. Number 2, who, what, where, when, and why. For example, who did the email come from? What is the email asking? Where do you see spelling or grammar errors? When do you need to respond or take action? And why are you receiving this email? And number 3, the hover technique. Hover before you click. With the hover technique, you simply move your cursor over a hyperlink and leave it there. Don't click it. The true embedded link or destination will show up in the bottom left of the window. In this example, we see that hovering over www.k12albemarle.org reveals a completely different website. The hover technique works in most programs and applications. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on mobile, but we encourage you to incorporate the hover technique in your daily computer use. And number 4, we all make mistakes. If you have any questions or believe you have fallen for a phishing attempt, please let a member of the Department of Technology know. We'll be sure to guide you through the next steps safely. All right, let's take a look at a real-life phishing attempt and see if we can apply what we just learned to this email. First, use your cautious lens. The service desk will never ask you to reset your password through email. Also, this email has been tagged external, as seen up top, and by the yellow banner on the bottom. That means this email came from outside our organization. Second, who, what, where, when, and why. Check the from address. Does this request make sense? Do you see spelling or grammar errors? Is the request urgent? And why are you getting this email? And number 3, the hover technique. Put your cursor over that link. Check the bottom left of the screen for the embedded link. And notice that in this Outlook application, the link also shows up right next to the cursor. It's pretty neat. All right, let's quickly review what we've learned. Check for the external tag at the top of the email and look for the yellow bar at the bottom. Carefully read the from address. Keep your eyes peeled for spelling and grammar errors. Use the hover technique. Take an extra second to think about what it is the email is asking you to do. And as always, don't hesitate to ask a member of the Department of Technology if you ever have a question or concern. We're here for you.
Here is Albemarle County Public Schools' most updated Human Resources Department phone list. Need more information? All of the school board personnel policies and information from these slides are found in the PowerPoint presentation. Please click on any of the blue writing. Also, please make sure that you sign in to the secure website to verify that you have completed the 22-23 Albemarle Schools online annual training. Thank you.